Hi guys, welcome back to Smell My Podcast. I wanted to kind of take things not in a different direction, but maybe deepen what I've been trying to do with the podcast. I've been interviewing my best friends, and I personally think that each and every one of my best friends are the most interesting people that I know and that I've ever met. And hence I sort of stalked them until they agreed to be best friends with me. But I think that I want to give my audience more of an insight into me as well, and who I am and how I got to be where I am, which will form the basis of the topic of today's episode, which is really going to be about guilt. I'm a woman, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a business owner, entrepreneur, graduate, undergraduate, postgraduate. I just live with a low grade default of guilt throughout my day. Years ago, I would say about 6 or 7 years ago, I used to run workshops for women. As you can tell, I've dabbled in a lot of entrepreneurial ventures, trying to find my place in this world and what fulfills me and what gives me meaning. And at a stage, what I was doing is running workshops for women. I'm very passionate about my home, even though we've had 475. The reason I think I've had so many homes over the years is because that's like my greatest obsession, is to just have this beautiful, peaceful base for myself and my family that feels like the epicenter and the womb at the same time. So I was running these workshops to firstly learn, because I really love learning and learning from other people, but also to facilitate for other women an experience on how to maximize their experience of being in the home and what they want out of their home. I've said it many times, I am the CEO of my life. So if I'm the CEO of my life and of my family's life, then my home is the headquarters. And, there's so much research and information about like if your physical space is organized, then your mental space will be organized. And I felt very strongly about that. So in these workshops, they were extremely open-ended, but there were 4 sessions, and each session was kind of focused on a different element of how these women felt emotionally within their homes, and their homes being a microcosm of how they feel in the world. And the one thing that came up time and time again, every group, every demographic, there were young women, there were unmarried women, there were grandmothers, there were newly married, there were, very much contemporaneous women to me, building families, having children, and everything in between. And the thing that came up each and every time for each woman is guilt. I just had to accept that a woman lives with feelings of guilt as a default. It's difficult. I try to release myself from it because it's not the same as living with feelings of responsibility. Living with a feeling of responsibility and ambition, etc., that is going to propel us forward and service our end. But living with guilt, I just find so debilitating, and yet I can't shake it. So many different threads and themes of my life right now are trickling down to this same drain of guilt. For example, I've been able to build a business and to create a business in such a way that my husband and I run the business and we live through the business, and certainly are not the most successful people in the world or the wealthiest, but for our lifestyle and our needs, which I would say are quite like low key, we don't have really ambitions of like luxury, shall we say. But for our lifestyle, which our greatest goal was just to be home and to be with our kids and to be able to afford our lifestyle, which is really just our home, school fees, medical aid, whatever, and to be able to then be present. It wasn't to necessarily buy more things or go on more trips. That's really not a big one for us, which it is for a lot of people. We just wanted the opportunity to be present. The more I curate my life and edit out things which I either no longer need or no longer want, my genuine motivation and desire and purpose is revealed, and that is very much just to be in my home with my family, and to not really be distracted or pulled by external noise. I think that is the biggest motivation that I have. I spent a lot of time curating a lifestyle where I could be a fully present, or should I say a fully involved mother, like doing all the lift schemes, making the school lunches, those kind of things. Again, also coming from a place of guilt. And I found that depleted me, but didn't benefit my children. So now our factory manager, just as a pure example, she has her driver's license and she fetches the kids from school for me, because I actually found going to the school campus every day to be very draining, if I'm just being honest. I'm like so sensitive. I know it doesn't necessarily translate all the time, but I'm very sensitive. And just having to kind of present a facade, show up, walk onto the campus. Oh, how you? Good. Oh, good job, we must get. It really depletes me. The small talk, the draining small talk. I know this is such a first world luxury. And it is. So maybe I was wrong when I said I wasn't looking for luxury when I created a business. I was looking for a very niche brand of luxury, which is I don't have to go onto the school campus and play the game. I don't have to be ratty and in a terrible mood at the end of the day, because I just need to get the kids to sleep so that I can just get back to the kitchen and make their school lunches and make sure that it's right. I guess that those are certain freedoms that business has given me, and that's a brand of luxury that I'm very grateful for and that I will continue to work hard to maintain. I was discussing with a friend of mine the other day who's also an entrepreneur. She's also a wife and a mother and a homemaker and, all the things. I said to her, if someone just put 10 million rand into your bank account tomorrow, what would you do? And she was like, I'd be on the way to the airport and I would just find the first flight to Europe and I would just go travel and travel and travel. And I said to her, it's so funny because all I would do is trick out my home more so that I had to leave it even less. I would probably hire a chef so that every night was going out for dinner. And obviously we didn't have to cook or worry about this exhausting. It's not, this is what I try to explain to my husband. It's not going shopping for groceries. It's not even cooking. It's thinking about what to cook and then which shop to buy the ingredients from, and then going and making a plan and then realizing I left one ingredient out, which I actually can't cook the whole meal with and then that mental loop. Keep your hotels, keep your travel, keep your fancy cars, keep your fancy houses, and give me mental reprieve. That is the only thing that I would spend money on if I had more money, is mental reprieve. Because when my mind is clear, I'm so able to just, as I say, be present with my family, be a nice person, view things in perspective. Like, for example, with my children, when they ask for things or make a request, sometimes I find myself just saying no. And I don't even know why I'm saying no. It's just the thing that you're supposed to say. And editing and paring down my life. I don't want to give a false impression that I'm so wealthy or whatever. I'm not. I just owning my own business and employing my husband in the business has enabled this particular niche form of freedom to pare down my life and to outsource the things that caused me a disproportionate amount of emotional grief. Did going to the shops and thinking what to cook for dinner every night destroy me? No. Obviously, I'm capable. My son is capable of doing that, It's not a hard task. It's an emotionally draining task. And you clock up all these little emotionally draining tasks throughout the day. And by the end of the day, you are completely depleted because I would have had to use my limited spiritual, emotional, intellectual energy supply on such trivial decisions that by the time I had an opportunity to be present with my children, let's say at the end of the day or the afternoon, by that point in time, I was already so emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually depleted that I just, A, didn't take the opportunity to be with them, B, was a bitch, and C, looked for any excuse or opportunity to disengage and go sit on the couch on my phone. Obviously, I still spend a huge amount of time on the couch on my phone, but I also have a lot of opportunities in the day for genuine connection. And that is what brings me back to guilt. Because even though I'm sitting here talking this out with you guys and laying out the entire process that got me to this point in my life, which I think is very measured, it may not have looked necessarily conventional to the outside world. I don't know if this comes as a huge shock. That's not like a major motivator for me. But I've worked tooth and nail to bring my life to this point, obviously only with the help of God and according to his will. But I am here now, and it's everything I've ever wished for or dreamed of. And whilst I have absolute infinite gratitude, basically every second of the day, I'm filled with so much gratitude. I'm also completely weighed down by guilt. Should be doing the school lifts. I should be working in an office. I should be working harder. When I feel rested, I actually say to myself, why don't I feel tired? It obviously means I'm not working hard enough. When I choose to disengage from social events that I don't think are necessary for me to attend, now make no mistake, I have very close people in my life who I would lay down in front of a bus for and also live for and celebrate for and with and do. But there's also a lot of fluff. So when I opt out, which is such a huge value that I hold and I try to teach it to my children, I'm like, no, there's obviously something wrong with me. I should be doing more. I should be going. Why do these things deplete me so much? And everyone else seems to be fine. I know on this side that like people put on an act, and just because they look fine doesn't mean that they are fine. I think the problem is I'm such a bad actor in that regard that if I'm not fine, you won't see me or I'll tell you. But the guilt that I'm not doing enough, which I guess is the precursor to I am not enough. As much as I've curated my life, as much as I have accomplished, as much as I have succeeded, I can't escape it. And I don't know how to divest from the guilt without losing the ambition and, you know, the cognitive boxing match that I love to have with myself of what is this and what does this mean to me and is this right and is this wrong? How do I build myself? How do I become a better human every day? How do I model that for my children? How do I educate them to be decent human beings? I just want to turn down the volume on that constant state of high alert and to stop. No matter how little or how much I do, stop. Never mind asking myself, have I done enough? Telling myself you're not doing enough. Because firstly, how do I know I'm not doing enough? Like, I want to ask myself, no, you're not doing enough. Like, based on what? I wish I could take the advice that I give my friends, you know. I often will say to my friends, if they ask me something, oh, they're having this issue. And I'm not saying because I'm a guru, we all ask each other. Obviously, that's the nature of friendship, thank God. But like, for example, with parenting, I always said the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Like, just if you look at your kid, he's a good kid, she's a good kid. So why are we having this discussion? It doesn't seem like there's really anything to worry about. I wish I could take that advice. You know, I constantly think to myself, I'm failing my children, I'm failing my husband, I'm failing my customers, I'm failing my family members. I'm not a good enough daughter, I'm not a good enough friend, I'm not a good enough mother, I'm not a good enough wife, I'm not a good enough boss, I'm not a good enough deodorant saleswoman. Why do I do that? And do you do that? And more to the point, which I really struggle with, and I'm a great lover of men. I'm not a hater, I'm not a neo-feminist. I love men. I love strong, powerful men who lead their families and protect their families and protect their women and children and care for their women and children, provide for their women and children. And I have been so blessed in my life to have known men like that, to be married to a man like that. I intend to raise 3 men like that. But yet, I wonder if men feel this, because I don't think that they do. Don't think that they live with guilt. I think they feel good enough. I think they believe their efforts to be good enough. Sometimes they over-aggrandize their efforts and think what they've done is actually better than it is. And I don't like it. So those are my thoughts on guilt. This has been Smell My Podcast. Follow me for a broad spectrum of content, from the rational to the ridiculous and everything in between.